Welcome, budding radicals and curious reactionaries. It's been a couple weeks, so I hope you've been doing okay. Um, I I've been stressed the fuck out. Um, yeah, my life has been. It's getting easier. Two very harrowing and miserable LSD trips kind of shocked me out of the milieu I was in. I mean, you all know this world right now is beyond stressful. So I've been working a lot and trying to put away as much money as I can, while still treating myself when appropriate. Um, I upgraded my Nintendo to a proper Switch. Um, which, of course, when I come home from a rainy day, work got rained out, and I basically told myself the night before, like, all right, if I don't have work tomorrow, I'm gonna buy a Switch. I've had a Switch Lite for the last few months, and it's great. I'll be selling my old Switch Lite if anyone's interested in that. It'll be $200 with a whole bunch of accessories. Um, and but So I like modding things, so I just wanted to show this off. So I got myself a Switch, and I like retro stuff, and so I basically got a mod kit to redo the Switch controllers as basically the old school Japanese Super Nintendo controller layout. That was weird. We just lost camera for a second. Let me know in the comments if I didn't do any like tech support or checking before going live. I just kind of decided, hey, it's been a couple weeks. I need to get back on the ball. You can't just hide out and play video games forever, which is what a lot of us have been trying to do through this pandemic and insane collapse of capitalism. Um, but I've also trying to get more active again in organizing. A lot of my co-op work is starting to pick up, and I'm starting to find that I'm the guy that gets other guys. So I joined the IWW, the Industrial Workers of the World. And so they do, if you're interested in joining their Discord, you don't have to be a member to join their Discord. Not everything is going to be available to you. But I definitely, like, out of all the organizations I've joined in this past year, the IWW is definitely my preferred organization. And I'll talk more in detail about that later. But yeah, so they do like a Wobbly Wednesday, where it's just like a voice chat, like, hey, hang out, like, shoot the shit, right? And they also, I guess they have a community garden in Tempe that they're working on getting going. So they do that every Friday. And So yeah, I was on my first Wobbly Wednesday chat this past week, and just kind of like telling them, like, oh no, like, I tell everyone that I'm an anarchist and that I am now a member of a historically communist and anarchist union, and they were just like floored, like, apparently that goes against the bylaws. Not, I guess, the bylaws per se, but the general organizing principles. Again, I'll maybe get into that later. But basically, they typically keep their shit quiet. They're not like, hey, everybody I know. So they were like, how does that work out for you? And I'm like, well, I'm funny. And I'm typically really good at my job. So it kind of balances out. They don't have to take me too seriously, because, like, oh, the funny guy's going to organize the workers. But I found through that, like, just being very vocal, I've made all these different connections and am starting to put them together. And hey, you need to talk to this guy because he's got a piece of land that, like, you might be interested in your co-op work with. Is one thing that I've got working out in Bisbee right now. Um, but yeah, things have been going okay. My work is going to be starting to slow down, so I can finally start looking for a new apartment, which is not soon enough because, yeah, apparently the landlord is going insane again. Our washing machines are outside our washer and dryer. We're supposed to each have like a washer and dryer, but like only one set has been working this entire time we've both lived here. And our detergent, which we kept outside, has gone missing. And it makes absolutely no sense for any miscreant to wander through our yard in the middle of the night and take our laundry detergent and not any of the other things that we have in our yard that have way much more resale value. So yeah, he was being really suspicious about that. I mean, we're kind of thinking that he just took our laundry detergent as like a passive aggressive. I don't know. We don't know. It was fucking weird and fucking stressful this morning. But yeah, so that's kind of where my living situation is. So hopefully I find an apartment. Otherwise, I am fucking living in my van. Like, the stress of living in this environment is just like way too fucking much. Like, I just stay locked in my apartment. I don't go to the fucking store. I don't get anything done. I've been recording voiceovers for Audible Anarchist. And that's just been like the stress of like all this living situation stuff and like working. It just made that like, oh, I'm really excited to be doing this thing and using my voice for something good. And yeah, like I got like so much of it done, and now I'm just kind of like struggling to get back working on it and finished with it so I can have it submitted and available on YouTube for people to read and peruse. So yeah, I'm really hoping that all that sorts itself out by Christmas. That would be nice to get into a new place, have a fresh start, and get back to work on something. Which also, by the by, this job I have currently ends in February 1st. So if you know any trade work I can do, contract, 1099. I don't want to be a W-2 worker anymore. At least $17 an hour, 1099 out the door. Any kind of trade work. I like using my body. I'm a worker. I'm an intellectual type guy, but at the end of the day, I'm a worker. I need to work all this stress out. So yeah, if any of you guys have any leads, yeah, please let me know. Or if you want to buy my old Nintendo Switch, please let me know. Yeah, that's kind of. Oh yeah, the divorce papers. Yeah, so I finally got the divorce papers. Apparently, if you're not married already, just don't get married unless you have medical requirements or you need someone to not be able to not have to be testify you against you in a court of law. So if legal stuff, unless there's like medical or you're going to jail, don't get married. The process of getting divorced is so much worse, even if it's like copacetic. Unless like you guys weren't like making each other miserable for like years and now you're finally like, okay, done. But yeah, so like I signed the papers and that's just me signing that I received acknowledge that I received the papers. But then now basically I don't do anything and eventually I get a card that says I'm divorced or something. I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, that was super fucking depressing. The moment the lawyer referred to me as the other party, like just a little part of my soul got crushed. But I had two very long and harrowing LSD trips to knock myself out of it. As you'll see, I'm a lot more animated. I've got a lot more energy. I'm not obsessively thinking about the problems I can't solve. I'm still thinking about them, but I'm not panicking as much, which is good. Um, I was describing a side effect of one of these, well, both of these acid trips to a friend, and it's stuff that like happens to me when I smoke too much weed, or apparently, if I smoke weed and do LSD. But it's this feeling that if I let go, then like I'm gonna die. It's not like a panic attack where I'm like, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. It's more like disassociation, like where I feel like I'm losing myself and my body and like being ripped out of it, you know? And like, uh, going out of phase is another way I've become fond of putting it. Like I'm just gonna phase shift out of this existence. Like I was kind of like holding myself up against a wall, just to steady myself. Like it gets kind of heavy up here, and yeah, like it literally felt like if I didn't like stay very concentrated on like this is the reality. This is just fucking real. Just deal with it. Yeah, like I would just go straight through the wall. And then even worse, I had these moments where, um, I'm used to in my panic attacks, especially if I smoke too much weed, forgetting to breathe for a very long time and it overheating my brain and stuff. Like literally the ex-wife in one of these fits that I have, she stopped me. We were kind of in the throes of passion. And I always just kind of thought it was in my head. But apparently it's actually physically happens where my brain, my head, and my upper torso get super fucking hot. Not like, oh, you're a little bit sick. Like, you're really fucking hot. And I've always heard this hum, and it felt like the world was vibrating. But apparently that's something that actually happens, where I start shaking so much that my body produces an audible hum that she was able to hear. So that was always dismaying. But recently it's progressed to, with these LSD trips, to where I don't get that. It feels like I'm not breathing. My heart stopped and I stopped thinking. And I'm used to like Zen Buddhism and like not having thoughts and just being there, and just turning this off, which is very nice to be able to do. But not like that at all, where it was like reset, where it was like almost like a blackout that you felt was coming. But yeah, like there's this like very sudden stop, like, and like it's like, and then I just come to, and like I have to pull myself out of it and like really like, and like pull my feelings and stuff back together. It was weird, but like having another friend say like, I also feel that, and I hate saying this, but it's actually a huge relief. It makes me really happy hearing you say that. And I'm like, no, man, when the moment you said, like, started nodding and like said, yeah, I was like, oh God, it's not just me. Like, you don't seem like you're dying anytime soon. I keep thinking I'm actually going to fucking die because I've just treated my body terribly. Like, no drugs or anything, just fucking really bad diet, a lot of stress, and fucking cigarettes galore. So yeah, those harrowing experiences taught me something. People were really worried about me doing that, like taking LSD, and while I felt that miserable, and I knew I was not getting into anything good. Um, but yeah, sometimes my backwards theories just kind of work for me anyway. Really riding deep into how bad I feel right now and how much worse it could get. Um, it's like that roller coaster, like you're so anxious going up, and you build up all of this perceived like terror, and you just let it build up and build up, which each of those little ratchet, you know, and then you just get real fucking deep in it, and like you're almost so deep that like you can't process everything, and you're just like, bah! Like last Sunday, Gren took me hiking to try and like, all right, like the morning was fun. Uh, so I had two LSD trips. One the night before Thanksgiving, where I was just like, nope, fuck my family. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just gonna stay home and eat junk. Which that night wasn't so bad, but I worked the next day, and I just decided like, oh, I feel like fucking shit. Like I'm gonna take acid after work on Wednesday, and just like a quarter tab. I don't go like crazy deep on it. But yeah, and then was like up till like 5 a.m. Like, oh yeah, they were right. That it's not super strong, but it fucking goes a long time. And that one was just a lot of just like introspection and just wallowing, and just getting really worked up about stuff. Um, and then this past Sunday, I was still like just really fucking deep in it. Still just from the divorce, like this, you just don't, you can't predict how these things are going to make you feel and how heavy of a toll it's going to take on you. So, and, then Sunday I took it early in the morning. I took, they're basically the three quarter tabs, spaced throughout the day. One at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, then another at about 11, and then finally another one around 2. Going on the 12-hour theory, like I can go to bed by 2. I ended up getting in bed by midnight, so Monday wasn't fucking terrible. It was a little, all right, you're gonna have to take this slow, but it wasn't Thanksgiving Day. Oh, that was rough, and also undulating. Um, um, and I was on a fucking roof. I was on a roof Thanksgiving Day, listening to Alice's Restaurant, and yeah, still like feeling the after effects of the acid. It's kind of every now and then I'm like, all right, just take a breath. Okay, the sidewalk's not moving. All right, you're fine. All right, keep going. Um, and So Sunday, it started off like, all right, happy fun time, giggles. And then, yeah, as it just progressed, like, I was just like, nope, yep, here's the darkness. Here comes the sad. Um, but it's like when I would feel the weight of all my shit, like it would just all be there. And then something little would happen, and I'd be like, oh, he can't. It's like this weird, yeah, like just hyper focus of, where you are, but also like the ability to be distracted and like, okay, and okay, that wore off. Now we're back to being heavy again, and so Gren ended up taking me out hiking, not too far outside of civilization, which is what I was kind of hoping for. But yeah, with Dreamy Draw, I think is the trail spot. But yeah, well, last time he had gone there, there wasn't that many housing developments, but like, yeah, now you go up over the hill and there's more fucking houses, and I was miserable and tripping balls by this point of the afternoon. Um, yeah, we had planned on filming and doing a show with me on LSD yesterday or last week, but by the time Gren got to me, like I just couldn't hold a thought because I just like would just get so heavy and just like fuck. Um, yeah, so every time I saw people on this trail, I would just get really fucking upset about all the fucking cockroaches spreading around all the land. Um, and but also like still had that nature time of like, let's go over there, let's climb that, we're gonna do it, boys. Again, that like dichotomy of like just being able to like hold all the weight of like your situation and just like really fucking feel it, but also just being able to like switch 180 to like, I want to climb up that hill. Um, which was, yeah, it was. I definitely don't suggest it for everybody. I'm used to just leaning straight into depression. I do suggest people don't run away from uncomfortable feelings. That's a huge mistake I just see people make over and over again is like, oh, this makes me uncomfortable, I shouldn't do it, even if it's personal growth. Um, in improv, we learned fuck your fear. If it makes you uncomfortable, if you doing something makes you uncomfortable, you should follow that at least. It's another thing when other people are making you uncomfortable, but you should follow your discomfort because sometimes it leads you to have more strength. Sometimes you just figure out, I'm really uncomfortable with that and I don't want to do that again. And that's fine. But, I've had a habit my entire life of running away from things that cause me stress and discomfort. Like this landlord situation. Like there's plenty of things I could do to wrap this guy around my finger. Like I've got him, like he's a fucking convicted sex offender and he didn't tell us any of that and he's renting an apartment. Like I've got this guy over a fucking barrel. But I just don't fucking want to deal with that. Like, just get it the fuck away from me. I just want to like have some fucking peace and quiet. Um, so, um, yeah, you know, just leaning into what scares you, um, can be beneficial. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like where I've been at the last couple weeks, just kind of like getting by, trying to figure out like what I'm going to do with work and my housing and trying to figure out some kind of way to fucking keep myself like a little bit calm and not frustrated. Like, all right, I'm going to spend money on video games again. Like, probably shouldn't be spending money, but fuck, I deserve a reward. I deserve to treat myself and have something that's going to provide me with some joy and distraction. Especially now that I can bring it places and play with people if I choose to go out ever again. But so yeah, hopefully you guys have been doing well. Again, I want to keep trying to start like support groups for people who just need places to voice negative shit. So much of us don't want to burden our friends with our complaining, even though that's kind of what they're supposed to be for. But we need to get this shit out of us. Like, I know so many people, when they do finally like let their burdens out to me, they feel relieved. I know I feel relieved when I can just express what I'm going through to someone. It's not misery loves company. It's misery doesn't want to fucking die alone and have nobody notice and know why. Like, we're just like, hey, I feel miserable. Does anybody else feel like this? Like, can anybody else help me figure this out? Or at least just like witness it, just to know that I know someone else knows what I'm going through, because suffering in silence is fucking hard. Which is why I've been throwing so many fucking tantrums on the internet for so long now. Um, but yeah, we're going to take a short break on that, and then I'm going to talk more about the industrial workers of the world, the union I just joined. I'm going to say union in quotes because what we're familiar with in America is a very specific type of union that's a very top down structure where basically they provide you with benefits, like health benefits, and contract negotiation, where they go in and do your contracts and you just agree to whatever they get you. IWW is basically the opposite of that. But we'll talk about that in more detail after we get back from this break. So just remember, if you're liking Not So Cranky Anthony, make sure you share, like, and on the Facebook. Definitely, I suggest YouTube for live streams because you can start from the beginning. You don't have to just catch me in the middle, especially when we're doing long topics. So, yeah, I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, and we'll talk about the industrial workers of the world. You're being cute. What? What? I don't know what. I don't know what's wrong. You want to go outside? All right, welcome back, budding radicals and curious reactionaries. Oh, I totally beefed my normal intro this week. I didn't introduce myself at all. I am your host, Anthony Fama. Um, So let's talk about the IWW, um, the Industrial Workers of the World. Um, Now, I'm not going to be able to give you a great history lesson because still I'm under a lot of stress. So, having cognitive issues, remembering a lot of shit. But basically, they go back at least 100 years and really did a lot to get the New Deal done. I mean, so much initial organizing for the 8-hour workday, child labor laws. I mean, this union in the 20s and 30s were fucking movers and shakers so much that, like, the government went hard after them. Um, they, at one point, had the largest union membership. Their philosophy is one big union. Um, Rather than the standard practice of uh, shop unions or trade unions, craft unions, where they organize by specific trade. You know, here's the electrical workers union, and here's the miners union. Um, and within capitalism, this just ends up pitting the different sectors of workers against each other. Like, for instance, with teachers' unions. You know, many times the teachers will earn a raise through organizing, but then that raise ends up coming out of the janitors' paychecks, right? So the philosophy of the IWW is that it's all one big union. We're not competing with each other. We're not getting some for others while taking from our own pie. You know, and it's also traditionally so. The ideology of the IWW is a fluid thing. They are officially a non-political union. What that means is that they do not turn any members away based on political affiliation. If you're a liberal, if you're a conservative, if you're an anarchist, communist, socialist, social democrat, democratic socialist, Trotskyist, Marxist Leninist, Maoist, minarchist, um, uh, any of the ideologies, everyone is welcome because at the end of the day, we are all workers. Um, and through that communication of all of us being in one collective group, is how we bridge the gaps of those ideologies, right? And it's also non-political in that it does not engage with politics or elections. They do not take endorsements from politicians. They do not. They don't engage in the electoral system at all. It's everything is direct organizing against bosses. Um, you know, and historically, the IWW has basically been communists and anarchists. Now, there is a fairly extensive pamphlet of bylaws. This is the official bylaws of the IWW. But the structure and organizational methods of the IWW are anarchist. They embody the anarchist ideal of horizontal and free association organizing. None of the unions have to go on strike at any time. You know, they don't do what leaders organize for them. It's not like the leadership says, hey guys, we're going on strike, whether you like it or not. It's the membership that has the debate. We do have executive members. We do have an executive committee. But it's all voted on by the members as a one-to-one vote, one man, one vote. And those executives are liable to be removed at any point. They have to be up for re-election every year. And additionally, union officers can only receive as much money from the union as a salary as they would have in their given trade. So, let's say the IWW Phoenix membership gets so strong and I end up becoming an officer, let's say a comms officer. The amount of money that I would be able to get would be what I would get from 40 hours a week of my average wage as a lighting trade worker, which in my case would be about $22.50. So that prevents anyone from getting rich off the union, Yeah, sure. Well, no, they can't even get kickbacks because another part of the organizational methods of the IWW is that it's not someone going into, it's not this executive team of organizers that go in and do your negotiations for you for the strike. What the IWW does is it creates a community of workers and organizers, so where we're supporting each other, to where the IWW is there to show you how to organize your workplace and take control back from your bosses. And rather than going in and saying, well, we're the big dogs now, we're the leadership committee, and here's the negotiation that we're going to do, and you're welcome, workers, we'll see you never again. It's, and for this reason, the IWW has historically had its membership rise and fall very quickly. Currently, it's a very small body, especially here in Phoenix. But so far, it's been the most enjoyable organization I've been a part of, and I've tried organizing with professional liberal groups, like my unemployment action group. That's all progressive liberal people doing things by the book. And yeah, just thumbs up asses there. And charity groups, within the music community. Taco? Okay, that's just junk. Okay, it's nothing you're going to hurt yourself on. All right. DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, the Phoenix chapter. I'm an official member. I'm in good standing. But my God, were those meetings boring and trite and didn't get anything done. But between one wobbly Wednesday and an official, hey, we have to vote on officers meeting, man, was it way more refreshing. And it felt like we got way more done than we actually did because it was so loose and fluid, and some people were sticklers about the bylaws. There's a moment where someone addressed hey, we're doing voice vote, but officially the bylaws for any officer election, like we need to do an anonymous vote. And it's actually not because it's a thing that the IDWW requires us to do. It's actually a law thing. Yeah, we typically don't pay attention to that so much, but like we should still like try and like if we can right now. And then we discussed like parliamentary procedure of like, no, how do we actually like if we need to supersede a bylaw out of pure necessity because I wasn't able to vote. I was actually at work and just listening in, and just kind of typing stuff when I had something to add. But I abstained from voting because, like I couldn't do any debates. I couldn't really fucking listen in. And then just like people like making jokes about like, yeah, no, we gotta go by the holy bylaws, guys. Um, and but yeah, like it was. Then when we got to the part where we're like proposing projects and like, hey, here's what I need help with. Here's like what it seemed so much more smooth, And then the Wobbly Wednesday, like we ended up, it was basically me just like being overly chatty with two other guys, as in like I'm doing way too much talking because like, oh my god, I never get to talk about any of this kind of stuff with people. So like, oh, how do I talk about organizing and my radical vision of how we can do things differently, and ended up talking about improv comedy a lot and things I learned from like organizing within the music community and trying to get Taco, I know, but people might want to actually listen to this. Yeah, I know, but you've gotten a lot of attention today. You've gotten a lot. Okay, so bunk off. Okay. Sorry about that. Um, but where was I? Holy bylaws. Oh, improvisation. So the way this conversation started was about like, how hard it is to keep momentum up with people, and you'll get people involved, and then there's some people who just they're gonna show up and they're not really gonna do anything, and then they're gonna stop coming. And then there's the couple people who like really just want to get a lot of stuff done, but then they get burnt out because the people who are just showing up, so like finding the ways to make it fun and like, all right, we're gonna have food, we're gonna have like some music afterwards, but first we gotta be a pain in the ass and get this thing done. And then like the things I've learned like from like the kind of exercises we would do in improv comedy. But so the IWW is kind of just a body of people who have that mentality that I've been screeching about of organize yourselves. Stop waiting for a messiah with some grand plan who's willing to do most of the work for you, because that usually doesn't pan out well. It might initially for a little bit, but in the end, we kind of get screwed. So, and that's a difficult thing. This idea of organizing, like, at one point, one of the other guys, like, kind of chided, was like, well, like, what have you organized? Like, have you organized any workers before? Like, when I was talking about being, like, very openly an anarchist. And I was like, well, no. I mean, because part of my thing is that I'm a clown. I'm funny. I do all these things. So the people in power, they never take me too seriously because I seem like a fool. I talk like one. I'm more than willing to make myself look like one. But I'm also doing that so I can like sneak in all this shit on the side. And what I've found is that as I just say things and people just become familiar with the ideas. As they actually start seeing them happen, more people are like, so I don't always agree with what you have to say, but I appreciate that you say it, and you do actually kind of have a point about these few things. And then I'm just kind of like, wait, there's more. So I definitely encourage anyone out there to check out their local IWW. You don't have to pay dues to be involved. They will help organize whoever needs help to organize. We're kind of loosely talking about trying to figure out who's doing tenant organization, because that's going to be really fucking necessary, especially someone like in my situation. So, and really, yeah, like organizing people in our workplaces. Like, we got to take control back because they're fucking killing us at our workplaces. Like, most of you, like, if you're not in food service, if you're not doing actual, like, necessary worker work, like, that's where people are getting fucking sick. And then those sick people are going and spreading it around. So, like, oh, well, it's happening at these small little gatherings of people who are going and getting sick from work. Because it's where people get fucking sick. So we got to start doing something. And I really think, like, there's a lot of great organizer, like proper union organizers. Like, we were talking a lot about Jane McAlevey. And then there's also the president of the flight attendants union was calling for general strike. There's some, like, proper union work going on that's good, but, you know, going back to this idea of one big union is really key. You know, we all have to band together and stop this fucking madness. It's only going to get worse from here. You know, you guys have seen enough sci-fi dystopian movies to know where this goes. And it's feudalism, and it's us living in fucking squalor and them living in shining fucking cities in the sky. So I ain't having that shit. I am not fucking having that. So we got to learn how to organize fucking quick. We are way behind the ball. If you're not paying attention to what the right-wing people are doing in fucking D.C., in fucking Washington, you know, they're fucking rioting and they're fucking stabbing people, and they're still doing it. Here in Phoenix, the crazy Stop the Steal people, those are still going, and they're still like 1,200 people strong. So I just, the only hope I have left is something like the IWW, you know. So I'm going to be working on hopefully getting these finished as soon as I can. But both of these, I also got a history book on the IWW. But the bylaws, the Constitution, and there's a couple of different versions of this pamphlet. But I'm going to be doing IWW pamphlets and doing audiobooks for that, we're going to make available. I don't know. I'm probably going to make this available directly through Budding Radicals because I don't know the copyright to get it. But Rebel Voices is a great book that someone suggested to me. And it's a history of the IWW from the workers who lived it. So, yeah, I'm really excited to read that. If you are a voicey person, for the anthology book, because that's a lot of, I don't want to do that all in one voice. I think that would be nice to have different voices for different styles of people. So definitely, like, hit me up on either any of my socially things. Hit me up somewhere if you'd like to contribute voice work for that. And yeah, I'm gonna kind of leave it at that. I didn't plan anything out today. I literally realized that it was like almost 6 o'clock, and I should probably do a show today. And I think, given my mental state today and how much easier it was for me to just fucking talk for, it's been 50 minutes. We'll call it 45 minutes. With having no plan whatsoever. As opposed to the last few shows that I've done. So hopefully I can get into a better living environment that's not so fucking stressful. Thank God for my neighbors next door and both of us keeping each other kind of balanced. I kind of fear for them for, when I get out of here. Because even if I'm living in my van at the end of the month, that's what I'm fucking doing. Because I'm so tired of people lording shit over me in any fucking small or big way. Like, I'm done with it. All of this shit. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good week. Make sure any of your friends that have mental health issues, do a mental health check. Just check in on your friends. Hey man, how you holding up this week? If there's anything you need to bitch about, I'm here to listen. And you don't have to offer him advice. If you do think of anything really good, I'll ask them if they'd like advice first. Always ask consent before you give advice, especially for us with mental health issues. Sometimes we want advice, and sometimes we just want to wail. And check out your local IWW. And yeah, fucking stay healthy. Stay inside. Stop going out. Stop get food takeout. Fucking eat it in your car. Just fucking stop. Share. Make sure you're subscribing to live updates on YouTube and Facebook, so you actually know when we're going live. We'll see you next week. I'm going to be having interviews. I'm going to be starting to actually get some interviews. So that's going to be exciting and an interesting process to learn. But I think I've got the tech package sourced for activist groups. And I think I've got things looking pretty good today, if I do say so myself. The auto white balance between this stuff is a little bit much. See, yeah, there goes that. I should have just locked the white balance. I'm just going to test that real quick. This is a live stream, so I can be loose and do this. No more auto white balance. What does that change? Still looking good there. And then I do that. Okay, it doesn't change it that much. A little thing happens. But I'm using a cell phone. So. One big union. Coming to a YouTube near you. This is my... No, that's not really my voiceover voice. But, yeah. I'm going to play some Nintendo. And, try and relax. Because I got a lot of shit to do tomorrow, even though I don't have work. I got to go get my check from work and drop off a key. Start fucking boxing stuff up and look for apartments. Dear God, I hope I can get one. Have a good week. Welfare checks, do them. Check out IWW. We'll see you next week, guys.
Where'd Ren go? Did you say it goes back down?
I didn't hear.
I would dip up off that way and see. It looks like there's like a clearing or like people go over there.